spiked out. I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to another This Week in Startups. It is episode number 72. Wow, I'm having a long week. How are you doing, Lon?
I'm all right.
Yes.
Tired, but, you know, making it through.
It's exhausting being an entrepreneur.
It's tough.
Admittedly, it's exhausting some days.
It's tough running a startup, definitely.
Try running 3.
Or more.
Or more.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, I feel like I'm running so many things, so many balls in the air. I'm just exhausted. I'm looking forward to next weekend is the holiday weekend.
Next weekend is Labor Day, yeah.
Labor Day. I'm looking forward to Labor Day. I'm going to go to Lake Tahoe. A
Yes.
friend of mine's got a house. I'm going to go to Lake Tahoe.
So we should say no show next Friday.
Next Friday, no show.
No show.
Because I'm going to be out of here.
Because you won't be here. We
Yes.
might get Nazar. Maybe we'll see about getting Jason
If
Nazar
Nazar wants to
come
do
in.
it, that's fine. But I will be flying private to Tahoe.
Yeah.
And
Private.
I am. Not my private, but
Look at you.
I am doing J-Cal style. I am out of here.
Slick.
Pull up to the tarmac. Everybody gets upset when I talk about private aviation. Well, if you have private aviation, you're not supposed to talk about it. It's like, oh, no, don't talk about your plane.
Well, that's the VC rule, I know. Venture capitalists don't talk about
Do
their
not talk
jets
about the
and whatever,
plane.
right? Yeah.
Do not talk about the jet fuel. I'm like, what? How cool is that? I'm going to fly on a private jet. Boom, Tahoe, with a baby and the nanny and the boom, pool house.
The whole thing.
With a house on the lake and then boom, fly right back. Genius.
Slick.
Well, what are we fighting for here? I mean, why are we all fighting? We all want a plane.
Private jets.
Private aviation.
That's it. That's how you know you've made it. That's the symbol that you've made it.
Basically,
have
if you
your
can
own jet.
afford to have the unjustifiable, then you've made it. It's unjustifiable to have a jet. There's
Right.
absolutely there's no reason to have it unless you're a president or a CEO of a very, very large corporation.
Tony Stark. That's how you know you've hit Tony Stark
Basically, a
level.
Tony Stark level if you have the jet. And it's honestly probably I don't want a lot of things. You know me, I'm not like a material guy. But I want a jet. And I'm not afraid to say that. I can even tell you what jet I want.
Oh, you got it picked out? You know your jet?
Of course. I'm going to get a Falcon. I'll show you.
Oh,
Want to see my
wow.
jet? That's what I'm going to get.
Yeah, we'll pull it
Falcon 9. This is the Falcon 9. Oh, no, wait. Falcon 9 is the rocket. Falcon
Well, you want that too.
7X. 7X, the new one?
You want some rockets.
Let's see. Yeah, Dassault. Here we go. Hold on one second. I'm going to pull this up. I feel some dead air there.
Rockets.
Falcon 7X is going to be, this is it. Here we go. I'm going to pull it up.
There it is.
That's my new plane. It's by Dassault. It's a French company. The French do some things correct.
Jets.
Jets, they do correct. And the Falcon is in a class by itself.
Crepes.
Yes. Falcon 7X is the defining
It's a nice
7
looking jet.
defining features. 6,000 nautical mile range. I can go anywhere. Cabin comfort, value, innovation, blah, 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 blah. But man, is this going to be an incredible plane. I am so excited when I get this. I think it's only like $40 million.
That's it. Come on. You'll get two.
I get the sense I'm never going to get it, but look at this. Oh, come on, man. How sweet would this? Look at this. Oh, can you
classy.
imagine
That's
me
classy.
and you and Tyler, and we're heading out to the, look at the floor plan here. Let me show you the floor plan.
You ever seen Face Off? That looks like Nick Cage's jet.
Probably
in
was.
Face Off.
All the blown people have Falcons, but look at this. I got my 4, this is the 4 captain's chairs up here. So this is, there's you, me, Tyler, and then somebody else. Mark Jeffrey from this weekend or something,
Mark
or
can come.
Jason Rapp from Mahalo, president.
Sure.
Then here we have the 4 top. This is where we'll have lunch and have the staff meeting.
Right.
But in between that would be Crute and other folks, you know, like
He's getting us the food.
no. Crute's a GM. So, but with other folks like that, and then back here you have the seats that become a bench. So this is what I mean,
you know.
it's ridiculous. I don't think I'm ever going to get the plane. Some days I don't think I'm ever going to get the plane. Some days I think the plane's coming next week. That's the life of an entrepreneur. You
It's
have no
ups and
idea the ups
downs.
and the downs. And everybody's
never
so,
know.
this is what I hate about Silicon Valley is everybody's like, oh, I'm not doing it for the money. And it's like, really, if you're not doing it for the money, why is it not a nonprofit? You know, like why are you
Right,
raising
yeah.
venture capital? I mean, venture capitalists aren't in for the money. I mean, isn't the whole idea money? Power?
Well, yeah, I think you're supposed to say if you're not, you have to be passionate about the
Well,
product.
why can't you be both? I'm
You wanna-
passionate about
yeah.
having the plane, and I'm passionate about growing the business, and I love what I do every day. These are not, winning is altruism. This is what I'm trying to explain to people. Winning is the best thing you can do for the world. When you win, then you can go do exciting things to change humanity. The most greatest influences on our society, ultimately, when the history books are written, are going to be the billionaires who give away their net worth to solve very big problems. And so when people come to me like, oh my God, you have to do something and spend your Fridays, volunteering here and doing this, I'm like, volunteering? What if I become a billionaire? I work my ass off. I just make a ton of money, and then I give it all away.
I think
wouldn't that be a better use of my time?
That's the very Randian take on it. That
Who's Rand?
Ayn Rand.
I'm joking.
Yes, right. Yeah, the people who are the geniuses and the great people should strive to achieve the most they can, and then
correct.
that does the most. That lifts everybody up. Like that is one
so
take.
Tell me
there are great Americans who are not about making a ton of money and just contributing.
Of course. I mean, there's
your Harriet Tubmans.
Martin Luther King.
Yeah, you're Martin Luther Kings, exactly.
Malcolm X.
Well, you're Malcolm X's to a certain extent.
To a certain extent. Flip a coin there.
Right.
So tell me the Socialist Loser View again. What is it?
I'm just saying, I do think there's two sides to that coin. That there are people who spend their nights and days doing amazing things for their fellow man that really is not driven by a profit incentive.
We're going to announce the winner of the .co domain at the end of the show. The winner gets $100 personally from Jason. That's a C note.
Yeah.
Out right now. Where's
we
my
have
C notes?
we have a winner. I picked a winner. Not as many entries.
Pick a C note.
Recently as I had thought. We got a lot the first week.
Cashed up from the poker game the other night. Got a little C note. Put that on the table.
Oh wow.
Let's ship that. Ship it.
She will ship that out. We also, I know here at the top of the show, I know we want to get started. There is something we got a little surprise.
Oh, surprise! What?
That we have to play. Somebody, because you've been talking a lot about our theme music and how maybe we shouldn't be using this theme music that doesn't really necessarily belong to a guy named Sean Carter. You may have heard of him.
My boy.
So a fan of the show, James Andrew, has written in and submitted to me this new suggestion for a theme song.
We have a new theme song.
Well, this is his. I don't know if you'll like it. We want to play it for you on the air. We want to see if you like it. Can we pull that up, please?
Make it a little louder.
Yeah, bump up the volume.
Well, we have to do it.
This week.
I am the free market. This is the free market. You are the free market. The Jason Nation, This Week in Startups, we are the free market. We are going to ring their bells. We are going to decimate anybody who charges a startup to pay. And when I say decimate, I mean complete and utter destruction. I mean no startups will ever pay to present again.
Social media, Twitter, iPad, YouTube, poker, madman, venture cap, movies, video games, mobile. When will it stop, man? Yo, I don't know. Social media, Twitter, iPad, YouTube, poker, madman, venture cap, movies, video games, mobile. When will it stop, man? Yo, I don't know.
You get the idea.
People in the chat room say it's horrible. It's not really music. White guy rap.
White guy rap.
I
haters. I thought it was a lot of fun. I like how it gets all the names of the shows in there.
It does. It's more like the This Week In theme.
Right. Well, it does say
potential.
startups, though.
It does say startups.
Yeah.
There is some potential there. We may have to talk to the person offline.
Anyway, James Andrews, thanks a lot for submitting that.
Very awesome.
A lot of fun.
And yeah, that's a good amount of enthusiasm there. And I can tell you something I'm very enthusiastic about. That is DNA Mail. DNA Mail. They provide fully hosted, managed Microsoft Exchange. Let's say MS. Microsoft Exchange and Google Apps email. It's much more economical. You just pay by the user. There's no other costs. That's a good thing. And it's reliable, 99.9% uptime guarantee. Why would you waste your time hosting your own email server? That would be ridiculous in this day and age.
Who would do that?
DNA Mail, DNA Mail. Everybody loves DNA Mail. Follow them at dnamail.com. Go ahead and sign up for your Microsoft Exchange stuff there. It's a couple bucks a month per user. It's super cheap, much more economical, great customer support, and they have supported the show, speaking of support, since the beginning. And I saw the guys here in the office today. They are just awesome to the network, and they've been awesome to the show. We love at DNA Mail. They are a great company. A lot of people on the show are using them now. because you got to use somebody for this Microsoft Exchange stuff and for Google Apps. You might as well use DNA Mail. And like I said, great customer support based here in the U.S.
And yeah, just huge supporters of this show from the very beginning. Our
From the
oldest,
beginning,
most
literally.
storied sponsor.
Everybody thank them on Twitter. Thank you at DNA Mail. Today on the program, we have Gabriel Weinberg, who is the founder and CEO of DuckDuckGo.com, a search startup, which if you're on the Hacker News, news.ycombinator.com, you'll see them mention DuckDuckGo all the time.
Well, they got a couple cool little things they're doing that Google is not doing, especially the privacy thing. People who are upset about Google saving their search histories, repurposing all that data. DuckDuckGo saves nothing.
We're going to hear all about that, but we're going to hear about it after Ask Jason.
Right.
All right, Ask Jason. We have on the line Tim. Tim, you're calling over Skype. Where are you calling from, Tim?
New York.
New York, New York. Where in New York?
Union Square.
Oh, you're in Union Square, my old haunt. I used to go to the dog park there. My old dog, Toro, rest in peace. It's about 110 degrees there right now, I think.
Today's the first cool day we've had in a while. It's only about 80.
Very nice. So you have a question for us? Let's hear it.
Yes. In one of your recent email newsletters, you were talking about when the market's hot, trying to raise money at a high valuation. And then I listened to This Week in Venture Capital also, and I hear Mark Suster talking all the time about being careful not to go too high. I think he uses the term right sizing. So I was just wondering, what's your take on both of those? How do you reconcile them or not?
This is a great question, and I will counter it with a question. What is Mark Suster's job?
Good answer. He's a VC.
Okay. What is my job?
Angel investor and startup entrepreneur.
Correct. Mainly entrepreneur.
Got it.
So, as such, you are talking about the guys who are on opposite sides of the table, speaking of both sides of the table. VCs will say, make sure you don't raise money at too high of a valuation because they want to buy low and sell high. Entrepreneurs, on the other hand, will say, I need to get the best price I can with the least amount of dilution. So if I said to you, I'll give you $2 million for 20% of your company, and somebody else says, I'll give you $2 million for 10% of your company, well, what's the downside to taking the better valuation? Is
there any consideration on the exit or something like that?
So there's one possible downside. There's really two. One is the people who are willing to pay the higher valuations, the good VCs will say, oh, well, they're paying a higher valuation because they have to, because they don't have the track record we do, right? So somebody who's a hot VC who brings a lot to the table might say, we think your business is worth $10 million. But somebody else who's an up-and-comer might say, I'll give you a $15 million valuation. I'll go 50% higher. Why? Because they're trying to beat that guy. That's called the marketplace. And so that's the way it should work. The people who don't have as much to offer, maybe offer more in valuation. The people who have a bigger name offer less in valuation. That happens to me as an angel investor. I can say to somebody, listen, I'm bringing a lot to the table with my name and my knowledge base and my network. I want to invest at this level. And somebody else who's quote-unquote nobody or less known or brings less to the table might say, I'm willing to pay higher than Jason's going to pay. And then it's up to the entrepreneur to decide, do I want the person who's willing to pay more or do I want the person who brings more? In general, the people, this may not be too big of a spread. Now, the real issue is, if you raise at a very high valuation, then success is a multiple of that number. So, if you are Slide, and remember we saw Slide get sold for just about
172 million?
Call it 200 million, let's say. So let's say they sell for 200. They raised money at 500 million. So you go, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, what happened was they raised money when the market was extremely hot and people were piling on and it was a great idea. But the reality of the business was it was a $200 million business. Now, if they had raised money at a $20, $30, $40 million valuation and they exit at 200, that's 10x, 5x, whatever it is, 40x. That's a big deal. But if you sell it less, it's basically a push. But the expectation was for those people investing at 500 was we're going to double, triple, quadruple our money. And so what happens is they put a protection in called preferred shares so that if the company sells for less than the valuation they got, at least they get their money out first.
Right.
This is, and you can, Mark talks about this, and you can look it up, but there's liquidation preferences, there's participating preferred, there's preferred shares. They get their money back first, and then you split the money, or they get their money back times 2. So if they invested $20 million, they get $40 million back, or whatever.
Right. Well, they get their money back at the valuation they put it in for.
Well, they just get their money back, period.
Right.
So let's say you put $50 million at that $500 million in. We give you your $50 million back plus interest.
Right.
Then we split based on the percentage.
Right, yeah.
So if that $50 million brought me 10%, we sold for $200 million, $50 million off the top, $150 million.
And then you get your
10% of $15 million.
out of the valuation.
Right. So it was still a great success. I mean, he built a $200 million company and sold it to Google, but it will always be looked at as...
Well, and it's a lot of it, too, is the common shares, the employees, the people who help build that company. They don't get their big payday like maybe they would have if it went for $500, $600 million.
Right. They're behind the money put in, the invested money.
Right.
Which makes sense. It would be like me staking you in a poker tournament.
Well,
I put you in the World Series of Poker. Not saying I do this, but if I put you in the World Series of Poker for $10,000,
that would be a good investment.
No, I put you in for a high society and it's $10,000, and you cash out for $15,000. Should you get $7,500 and I get $7,500? I lose money, you make money? No, I get my $10,000 back. Right. Then we go 50-50. So I make $12,500, you make $2,500.
Yeah.
Now you're incented to make money.
No, I mean, it makes sense that way. I just think it's something a lot of people maybe don't realize. They get their job at their first startup. They get these, like, sort of big ideas of, if it's, the next Google or whatever, it's worth this much. I'm going to get out with this.
Now, the mistake you can make is raising a lot of money at a high valuation and spending it very quickly.
Right.
Now, so those are the two separate issues. Most people think those things go hand in hand. Oh, you raised $50 million at a $500 million valuation, and then you blew through it in 2 years or a year. Well, that would be a mistake. So we raised a lot of money from Mahalo, but we deployed it very carefully. That's really the sweet spot. Raise a lot of money at a high valuation, deploy it slowly, and build a lot of value and be patient. Or you raise just the minimum amount of money you need, build a ton of value, and then raise at a higher valuation later. So there are all these strategies. And the strategy is also based upon not only the moment in time, right, but also who you are at that moment in time. So, Max from Slide, circa 2007 versus 1997 is going to be two different things.
Sure.
Was that helpful?
Very much so. Thanks.
Good luck with everything, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks.
And you know who I want to talk to soon is Trotta. Trotta has been a tireless supporter of the program. We have a pillow from Trotta right here. Everybody take a moment to tweet thank you to Trotta and include the #twist hashtag, and you'll win one of these awesome Trotta TWI pillows from Throwboy, throwboy.com, @Throwboy. Mention Twist when you sign up for a Trotta account, and somebody actually just emailed me that they were doing this, and that they were going to spend the maximum of $3,000 to get the $300 bonus.
Yeah.
You get 10% extra on your money in pay-per-click marketing. What is pay-per-click marketing? Everybody knows. That's search marketing, search engine marketing, SEM, not SEO, but SEM. And the way SEM works is you pay for those ads on Google, you get traffic to your site. Well, there's a lot more to it than just giving Google a bunch of money and 25 cents a click. You have to bid against other people. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of keywords you're bidding on.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure you do it efficiently. You got to make sure the keywords you're buying actually convert.
You got to really live in that world to get all the little nuances and be competitive.
So what Trotta's done is they've gotten a collection of people who do live in that world, and instead of you having to hire them full-time, you hire Trotta, they outsource it to those people, they're competitive, Trotta takes a little piece of the action, they make money if they help you spend it more effectively, and man, Neil from Trotta was on the program. He got so many referrals from being on the program. They said, I want to advertise. How can I be the guest every week? And I said, well, it doesn't really work that way.
Right.
You can be me or Lon or Tyler. Tyler's quiet today. But he came in and said, hey, let me advertise because I got to get this Twist audience.
That last bit right there, also they wanted us to mention this week. They're actually looking for people who, if you are a search expert,
oh yeah, if you know how to do this,
get in touch with them. They
sure.
That's a great opportunity for you.
And you could, by the way, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but let's say you were a search engine marketer at a very big, large company. Mm-hmm. Let's say you need to get a little extra cheddar because maybe you got a habit, like playing poker.
Right, so something like that.
Something to that. I'm not saying I have that habit, but let's say maybe you're stuck 10 Gs or 20 Gs. You're behind a little bit. Poker, you're not running well, as we say.
Yeah.
Maybe you could work on the slide over at Trotta. Nobody knows the difference. You're doing it on the weekends. You shut the office door. You're working for Amazon or Zappos or some big e-commerce person. You're their genius on SEM, but you need to make a little cheddar on the side. Nobody's going to blame you. You go over there, boom.
Yeah. No one's the wiser.
Nobody's the wiser. You got your weekend. You make a little extra money.
A couple of high societies.
Couple of high societies later, you're feeling pretty good about it. Yeah. Okay, so thank you to Trotta for that. If you are a search expert, you're going to just want to go over to Trotta and sign up and hear what they're talking about. Great people over there. I'm assuming Neil's email is neil@trotta.com, but if you want to talk to Neil.
Well, actually, if you go to Trotta, there's a big area. Like, here's where to contact them, sign up, get involved.
Yeah, so go through the proper channels, or if not, tell them your Uncle Jason sent you. Yeah. Thank you to Trotta. Thank you to that DNA Mail. I first heard about DuckDuckGo when I was being flamed and tortured on Hacker News, which essentially happens about 3 times a day. I don't know how I became the enemy of the startup community on there, but it's, I guess, when you put yourself out there a little bit, it's actually kind of funny now because they're like, oh my God, Open Angel Forum is amazing, and Twist is a great show, and now like once every 3 weeks somebody says, what podcast should I listen to learn about startups? And they're like, if you can tolerate Jason Canacanis, This Week in Startups is...
It's great, too, on the iTunes reviews are the same thing, where it's 5 stars, best show about podcasts. You know, Jason's a little hard to take, but, you know...
But he does provide good information. It's like, wait a second. What does that mean exactly? That's like saying, like, oh, my God, this chef makes the most amazing meals, but, you know, you have to deal with the chef.
Yeah, right. But he's, you know, he's arrogant about it. He knows
he's arrogant about it. He knows he makes the best meal.
Yeah.
Anyway, news.ycombinator.com, the incubator, has this great site where people, nerds, talk about stuff. And people talk about DuckDuckGo. These nerds are talking about it all the time. And so I thought, hey, or maybe they thought, did we pitch them or they pitched us? I don't know. I think at some point somebody recommended, hey, why don't you have DuckDuckGo?
DuckDuckGo, yeah. A fan of the show wrote us and said, I would love to see Gabriel from DuckDuckGo on the show. We reached out to him, and here we are.
There we go. And I wanted to see it because I'm very big in search, as you know. I'm into it.
Well, yeah, it's something when we were first doing Mahalo stuff, or not first, but after a while when we were doing Mahalo, it was one of those names that kept coming up alongside us. It's like, here are 6 really interesting alternative
Yeah, like maybe
search
in year 2 or something like that.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
But there was actually a class of them before them, like Hackia. Cool came out.
I think DuckDuckGo and Cool were around the same time.
Yeah,
Cool,
but
C-U-I-L.
But Hackia was before that. Parasite was before that. Those guys were semantic.
Yeah.
And then, what was the other one that was doing Cosmics, which was doing like automated topic pages.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's DuckDuckGo on my screen, and I do a search in here for this week in startups, and boom. There's the results, and we're going to go through what makes these results unique and beautiful and delicious.
Right.
But first, let's introduce our guest. He's calling to us from Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, or I should say Skyping us. Gabriel Weinberg, founder and CEO of DuckDuckGo. Welcome to the program.
Hi.
All right, that's been great. Thanks for coming on the show program, and we'll see you next time, everybody. Tell me, how long have you been working on DuckDuckGo? How many people work on it? How many tens of millions of dollars in venture capital have you raised?
I have raised 0 venture capital,
okay.
0 angel investment. It's mainly just me who works on it. I've been doing it about 3 years. The site's been live about 2 years. 2 years next month.
So you're one guy, one-man band, and it seems like nerds, geeks, like your service. How is your service different than, say, Google, Hackia, Cool, or any of these other search engines? And Google would be the primary one. And why did you create it? What is the raison d'etre, as they would say? Did I pronounce that right? Raison d'etre?
Yeah,
something like that.
Raison d'etre.
Raison d'etre. What is the reason you exist?
The reason I exist is to be a better primary search engine, and that's my original goal, and that's what I've been plugging away at. And so my motivation originally for starting was, everyone just uses Google. That's what we get compared to, even though there's all these other startups. Was that I was seeing more and more SEO spam in Google, and I felt that the results were getting a little less relevant. And then even higher level than that, I felt that people using Google when I was, doing customer development studies didn't necessarily understand what they were getting on the results page. It wasn't really readable in the sense that they were trained over a decade, to click on links forward and backwards a lot until they saw something they sort of liked, but they didn't really get what the titles and the snippets were and stuff like that. So that was the original motivation. And then, to deliver a product that works on that motivation, I tried to rethink the results page and make it more readable and understandable. And so we have a ton of features that are in that vein. The most recognizable one is this thing called zero-click info, where we put answers above the results. And so you can do a search for anything sort of on the fat head of the search space, and you'll get a box at the top, and you'll get an explanation, hopefully some good related topics, maybe an image, and a click to a relevant page to find more. And then all sorts of things like that. You know, we identify the official sites, we have a lot less spam, but in that vein of more understandable search engine.
So if I do a search for Bob Dylan, you basically put a little one box at the top, I think is what Google would call it, and a nice red box that says, hey, here's Bob Dylan, more at Wikipedia, a discography, and I guess some other categories. So you're just pulling the category information from Wikipedia there?
Yeah, click on like the category at the top next to Bob Dylan there, and you'll see we have these kind of pages on our search engine, sort of like Mahalo in a way, like on-site pages, even though we're a search engine.
Right.
That lists topics that turn into search results.
Right.
But they're topics that we know we have good, one-box information for.
Yeah, which is something similar to what we do, correct? And so that's one thing is the one box, and then the first set of results I'm seeing here is just the Google API. Is that correct?
No, no Google APIs whatsoever. So the first result there you'll see actually looks a little different than other results. It has no, snippet. That result actually came from, I think in this case, I'm looking at your screen. It's a little blurry on my thing, but I think it came from Wikipedia. But we have there you go. Yeah, we have a bunch of these, like 30 at this point, human-powered edited sources that have good links. And so those go on top when appropriate. And then we use Boss and Bing, but we don't use them straight up. We query them in sort of weird ways and remix, omit, etc. So the results don't actually look like those either, but we do use those APIs.
So you have a list of trusted places, like say the links at the bottom of the Wikipedia, or the links inside of IMDb, or the links inside of wherever.
Crunchbase, Wikia, etc.
Yeah. So you have sort of like vertical search of clean sites, and you do this through the Yahoo Boss API.
Boss, Bing, entire web for the deep, and we're looking for other ones too. InfoSeek, Ask, everything but Google basically. So
you're basically doing a little like mixture of the APIs that are out there, and just so people know, Yahoo Boss is their sort of clever, or was, I guess, because they're not supporting it anymore, right? So what happens now for you?
So they are supporting it, but we use Bing a lot, and all those other ones. The way we use it is sort of interchangeable. We're basically using them to get the deep web graph, if you will, the same thing that SEO Moz has. But then the way we actually use it, we re-rank it differently and whatnot, so we can actually switch from Boss to Bing without any users really noticing. But before that, to back up, we actually started doing my own crawler because I started it before Boss even existed. And then when Boss came out, I decided to concentrate on the value add. But I still actually crawl about 100 million domains a month, mainly looking, at this point I'm using it mainly to weed out spam. So you see a lot less spam on DuckDuckGo than you will on any of the search engines. And so we'll take like the Bing feed, for instance, in this aspect, we'll just remove all these spam sites, and so you'll get a cleaner result set.
How do you know they're spam? If they have a dash in it, or they're .net or .org or something?
It is. So I started out with this whole Bayesian probabilistic thing, and that ended up being too many false positives. This may be getting too detailed.
No, this is exactly what you should talk about. No.
But so I ended up scrapping that, and I built this big training set of thousands of parked spam domains and thousands of good ones, and I have this whole huge heuristic rule set thing that I train each month, to bring it up to date, and it results in really good identification. Hardly zero false positives at the time of identification.
So you can basically look at, is this one of those spam landing pages that's only ads? And maybe if it has over 3 Yahoo ad units at the top, this is bogus.
Absolutely. And then you can actually take a bunch off the top, like, we're talking 20 million domains right away by looking at who is and DNS and things like that.
And if so they're hiding it, kill them or something, maybe. The ownership.
Exactly. I actually found one the other day. It was like eHow was buying all these domains
Yeah.
that were, yeah.
The eNom, eHow sort of buy domains and redirect them business. So you're one guy in
I am one guy.
what looks like your home office or a dentist office. I can't tell.
This is my home office.
Okay. Either that or you were calling from the dentist. It could be, it's possible.
You never know.
And you're able to take out all of these, all of this spam fairly easily. Would lead one to ask the obvious conspiracy question: why hasn't Google, Yahoo, or Bing or Ask taken these out?
So I try to generally concentrate on things that I think they can't copy that easily, and it's not necessarily technically that they can't do it. Although in this case, they seem to have a disposition against heuristic type of algorithms. But even if they didn't, I think they wouldn't do to the extent I'm doing, just because they get called for censorship. Basically, the position that they're in at this point is, they can't just start blocking these sites or they'll get sued.
So that's interesting. If you were to create a heuristic, a rule that you just don't like these sites, they might get sued by those site owners. Is
just
your
a conjecture
theory.
of mine, yeah.
Yeah. It's quite possible that that's the reason, or they don't seem to. Well, I don't think they want to. They never want to publicly admit there's any human intervention.
Right.
That is Google's position.
It's all algorithmic, yeah.
Which is not true.
No.
There is definitely human stuff going on, because there's no way Wikipedia could become so prominent if it wasn't sort of blessed like that, I don't think. I guess maybe it's got a lot of inbound links, but...
Well, I think page rank, I guess, would be how they'd explain it, which they're saying is
so they make that opaque.
Yeah.
But in your case, you can just do whatever you want, and you're not big enough that somebody's going to sue you for not being included in the DuckDuckGo engine. Maybe if you get big, they would say, oh my God, you're excluding us, but you'd say, this is my search engine, it's my right to do that.
Well, wouldn't you think, and this is also interesting, and somebody I think mentioned this in the chat room, if DuckDuckGo got big enough, wouldn't there then suddenly be a much more greater interest in SEOing it or spamming it and getting those kinds of figuring out a way to sneak them in, or no?
That's yes, and people said that about Mahalo, I guess, with human-powered search.
Right.
But let me ask my guest, how big is the site now? I mean, I know it's been a niche thing. Is it used by hundreds of people a day, thousands of people a day, tens of thousands of people a day? Where is the business at in terms of scale?
Probably tens of thousands. So as we probably get to, I don't actually track the users, so I can't give you a exact unique figure, but I do track the number of searches. And so this month, it's already surpassed 1.5 million searches on the site, which is the record from last month.
Yep.
And so that's up from a few million a few months ago. So I'm guessing that's, some people are just coming in and out or only search a few times a month at it. So I'm guessing a few 100,000 people are interacting with the site every month. And then there's probably a core group of 30,000 or something that has it as their primary search engine.
So if you're doing over 1 million clicks a month, if you were to put ads at the top of the page, you'd be making a $10 CPM probably. You make 10 grand a month, 15 grand a month, but you don't. Is the idea to build this without advertising and monetization, or what's your idea? Are you communist or something? You don't like money?
Definitely not communist. No, so I had, my intention is to have some good advertising at one point, but part of the other motivation for starting was I was tired of, the intense ads on some of the other search engines, and especially putting them above the search results. And so my intention is to show highly relevant ads. So I tried to add some of the ad feeds about 6 months ago, and I just wasn't getting the relevancy I wanted, and I didn't feel like spending the time at that point to write some intelligence on top of it to weed it out. But I'm getting to that point now where, like you said, it makes a little more sense. So I'll probably be, playing around with that soon. But, I have no pressure to do so.
Right, because it must be extremely cheap to run. It's just you as a developer and some servers, today. Let's talk about privacy in search. You've decided to not track anybody because if you're not trying to monetize, you don't really have to. And you're not tracking search results. I think Google keeps it for 18 months now, your search history. Is that right? Do you know?
Yeah, so what the search engines do is, so I keep search results at this point. I just don't know who the people are, and I can't tie them together. I don't know search sessions either.
Yeah.
So what Google does is, and the other search engines, they, quote, anonymize them.
Right.
But they don't really anonymize them because you can still track people's sessions. And you can also sort of identify who they are because they often keep a cookie or they'll get rid of part of the IP address, but you can still get a decent part of it. So, and they probably don't throw away the user agent either. And so, with any of those things, you can probably retie the person together.
Which happened to AOL when they accidentally put out search data for the search community and for the academic community. They found people searching for themselves and then searching, how do I kill my wife, poison recipes, and all kinds of other stuff. So basically, at some point, you're going to search for your house or your community or the local pizzeria, and you can start triangulating on somebody. And so you're absolutely 100% correct. I think that this is a great reason. I think this is reason enough to use DuckDuckGo, is that you don't store your search stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, but when you do privacy, when you do incognito mode, is it when you're in Control-Shift-N or whatever, the porn mode in Chrome?
Right.
Does it save your search history when you do that? Do you know? I don't think it does.
So Google's saving it on their end, right?
They're saving it on their end.
Yeah. So I believe you would still be saved there, at least to the extent of that session, right?
Right.
And so if you're searching for a number of things there, that can still be tied back to you.
Yeah. And it would be tied to your IP address.
Yep. The other piece of it that we do that hardly anyone else does is, I realized this actually from a user comment on Hacker News, and then I took it a step further. But when you go to Google and you click on a link, your search is actually getting sent to that site. I'm sure you know this, from Mahalo. That can be a privacy leakage kind of thing. And so in our settings, you can turn this off if you want, but by default, we don't send that search to the sites either. So if you search for something private and then click on a link, that webmaster is not going to know that search.
The webmaster, yes, because after you search, the referring URL. The search is in the URL. If you ever look up, you see Q equals and the query equals, and even if you've misspelled it, so you're getting the entire URL, right?
Yep.
So
but it's in the refer header of the
refer header, yeah. So if you get that refer header, you actually know what search they came from, which is how people optimize. If you came to this landing page and you were searching for, teeth whitening versus toothpaste, I know what to sell you, et cetera, and that's why ads are pretty efficient. But I think that the privacy issue is real, but what would happen if the government came to you and said, we want to audit your logs? Would you have in your Apache logs or whatever logs you're using the IP address in the search, or you don't have the search saved anywhere, so all they could do is know that an IP address came to your site?
I actually don't even save the IP address, and this is part of the reason for doing it is, as we were getting bigger, I realized that eventually we're going to start getting those calls from governments, and I didn't want to be any part of it, so I just took it out of my hands.
So you don't even save your log files, therefore there's no IP address table to look up, and you're not saving the search history, so what can they, I guess they could theoretically intercept people searching your site, but that would be them tapping the network, not getting it from you.
So just to be clear on that, so we have logs, but I specifically made it so the IP address isn't stored in the logs or the user agent. And then they could do like a man-in-the-middle thing, but we also offer a SSL version, which would stop that as well.
Ah, and do you have to pay for the SSL version, or?
Nope, all free.
All free. Interesting. I've thought about this security issue on Mahalo a lot because I'm sort of a privacy nut on this. I don't understand why Google feels the need to save everybody's searches. They should just stop doing that. I think it's a great way to differentiate. And we've had many discussions over the years at Mahalo of like, hey, we don't store the search information. We should just get rid of all that stuff. But now, if you were to put ads from Google on your site, what information do they get? Because they have to cookie the user in order to put the ads on. So how do you deal with monetization? Because once you do that, Google's going to know the IP address.
So what you do is you proxy the ads through your server. So your server is the one doing it, and you don't put it on the client-side JavaScript. Although, in particular, at this point, I'm not going to use any Google APIs, so I'm not going to use their ad feed.
Why is that? You just think Google is nefarious or something, or?
No, I mean, I'm not necessarily against them, but I think a lot of the people who are switching to us from Google, they don't necessarily want to interact with Google, and that's one of the reasons they're switching. And so I think it's better just to keep that separate.
Interesting. So what else in this service is notable?
Well, I like the zero-click info stuff, the less spam. There's a bunch of other things that people really like, and so if you're on the About page and you click on Goodies at the top there's all this stuff that we put into the search that I put into the search engine. that you, yeah, I'll wait till you get there. Yeah. So all these things are clickable so you actually see them. But if you click on the right, say, under zero-click info sources, like Stack Overflow is listed there. Click on that. We actually deep index content from a lot of these places through the dumps. And so in that one box at the top is actually like the relevant question from Stack Overflow. So like, programmers really like this because, you know, they get the information right here. It's part of this whole zero-click thing. Sort of an extension of the Wikipedia, because it's not like an exact title match, you know, like if you search on Mahalo, but it pulls out the relevant paragraph.
So if the person exists in Crunchbase, it will pull up their Crunchbase stuff and put it in the one box.
Yeah, and for instance, for Crunchbase, for all these different sources, I've tried to do intelligent things with it. So if you click on like the more topics there, for instance, I've built category pages based on the you know, the Crunchbase data. So for any like company, you click on it, it'll tell you who the investors are, you know, whatever's in that Crunchbase section.
Right. So I can click on WakeMate and then go from WakeMate to Aaron Gupta and just sort of surf through this information while doing it. Basically, you know, like category search layered on top of your regular search
exactly.
engine.
And then I've been trying. I did this whole. If you go back to the goodies page, there's this whole Wolfram Alpha section where I've been trying to take all the good parts out of Wolfram Alpha that are relevant to search. It's on the bottom left.
Yeah.
And you know, actually pull out answers and put them at the top of the you know, the search results.
Yeah. Is that through their API, or do you actually do a live search?
That's through their API.
Great.
So that one's actually live, obviously, because they have millions of lines of code or whatever, so they don't give dumps out. But you know, I'm constantly looking for basically to extend the zero-click concept, right? With better answers, better dumps, that kind of stuff. In the actual results, you know, it's hard to talk about results. I mean, there's a lot of improvements to talk about, but like I think it gets lost on people because when they look at results, you probably know this with Mahalo, it's not immediately. People can't immediately tell the results are better.
Yeah,
you know?
it's impossible to tell because they're good enough. You know, and this is what I found with human-powered search, which is why we sort of de-emphasized human-powered search. It was one of our 3 pillars, but we realized if you take out 2 pieces of spam and you move up 1 or 2 good things, people don't actually notice. They can't actually report that it's better. They don't. It's not past a just noticeable perception point for people. Perhaps, you know, the one box stuff that you're doing, or you know, similar to one box, that stuff people definitely notice. It's a design change and it's an answer, so they respond much better to that, which is why we went more in the content Q&A, video arena in terms of the pivot at Mahalo.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, so I still do that result stuff, but it's sort of like it's not even worth talking about a lot of times because, you know, people don't necessarily get it right away. And then there's all this other, like, if you type in, I think Mahalo works. Let me see here. I should add that. Wait. If you type in like exclamation point A space a term, it'll immediately take you to Amazon. And so that actually works. A is a shortcut. You can also type in Amazon. But that actually works.
That's great. Wow. So that quick key is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's like a command line for people.
Sites. Yeah. Pretty much every site you can think of, it works. All the big sites.
Oh, no, it didn't work for. I just tried to do. Oh, so if I were to type in exclamation point dig, Bob Dylan, I should go to a dig search for Bob Dylan. But you didn't do that. Okay.
Dig is slow, I guess.
There we go.
It is. Unknown error occurred. Yeah, they're having a tough time. So if I did about.com for Bob Dylan, it did a search at about.com for Bob Dylan. There you go.
That's pretty slick.
That is slick. I mean, you basically are cutting out the actual search result and just taking people direct to the first thing, which a Google could never do because if they did that, they would make no money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this was an initial idea of mine that I wanted to take a lot further, and I'm still looking for ways to do so. But part of the motivation was that there's all these vertical search engines out there. In any given search, there's probably a vertical search engine that does better than Google.
Right.
But, you know, the person who's searching has no idea which one that is. And so this is a start to get to that. I had a bunch more code in there that automatically took you there, but that was confusing to people. So I'm finding ways to get that back in. But that's the high-level goal, is to identify which one, you know, you should be taken to, and when it's appropriate, either let you know or take you right there.
I just did pound father's office, and it took me to father's office in San Francisco because that's a default search. But yeah, I did pound Yelp, or not pound.
Exclamation.
Actually, it's actually bang if you're a programmer.
Is that really? Bang?
Right.
That's what it's called too on the site. Yeah, it's called Bang.
Yeah, I mean, I used to program. When you do that, it's called a bang. Just, a
I'm
little
learning
thing for
something.
programmers there, people who are paying attention.
Me, yeah.
So you're a serial entrepreneur. Last venture was the Names database, a social network that validated information by requiring new participants to verify other friends and acquaintances. What happened with that?
It was essentially a site to find old friends and classmates, and we sold it to classmates.com in 2006.
Congratulations on that. You do angel investing now.
Yep.
What is your thesis on angel investing? How do you pursue projects and companies and entrepreneurs? Do you have a thesis?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still getting started, so I've done 4 deals now, and I'm advising a few companies, formal advising as well, a few. But my thesis is basically, the regular thesis that VC market is shrinking, and so I'm looking for companies that may actually not need VC, or a decent probability, maybe 50% if all things go well. Hacker types that could have some kind of viral distribution, and those are the main qualities. I'm also probably looking, I would probably say, like a little bit of traction, a spark, something I can see where I could really see the path for this exploding.
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good thesis statement. You're looking for things that may not need to go to venture out, which could mean a 10, 20, $30 million exit. Some people call it small ball. I call it smart. I call it making money without having to go big, because not every business is destined to be big. Some businesses are destined to be 10, $20 million businesses. That's okay. It's still extraordinary success. We just sort of diluted in our industry into thinking that Facebook is the only, if you don't build a $50 billion company, you haven't built the real thing. It's the exact opposite.
Part of the way I thought about it was like, I don't have enough funds or time to do like 100 investments. So the idea of me getting into the next Google is so slim, because there's only like, that study, like 15 companies a year are going to exit at 100 million. So I'm just sort of putting that off. I mean, it'd be great if one did exit for 100 million, of course, but that's not what I'm looking at.
What worries you most about the state of the internet today?
I'm pretty bullish on the internet. I mean, not terribly worried about anything.
Nothing? I'm terrified. Lon is terrified. No, just
What are you
curious if
guys
there's anything you
terrified
think
of?
is problematic or challenging, net neutrality, privacy.
I think privacy is real. I mean, as you obviously probably gather from DuckDuckGo, my DuckDuckGo stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, so I think there are certainly trends out there. I'm not concerned about it. Perhaps
You think it's a manageable issue?
Yeah, I think privacy is one of these weird things where, like, it's one of those not fear things, but like most people don't know about what's going on with their search results. Say, if the media was focusing on it a little more, people might get up in arms about it. So that may or may not happen. But until that point,
right,
no one's really going to care that much.
It seems like a soft issue. Unless you've been personally impacted by it, you don't really
it's like
care.
identity theft, or something like that.
Right, identity theft, right. Who cares about identity theft until you have to spend a year trying to clean up the mess that is somebody stealing your identity. And then it's a big deal.
Exactly.
Interesting. What out there impresses you today? What companies do you think are just crushing it?
Well, I do like all my angel investments.
Yeah. Such as?
A lot of them are sort of new. The oldest one is Note Hall. It's a document marketplace for class notes. And then I invested in WakeMate. It's a sleep device.
Yeah, sure.
That's coming out soon. Yeah, MyZamana is the third one. It's an Indian dating site. And the latest one is called Cadio Mobile. And they do this location targeting marketing. It's a business type of thing. It's really cool. And then I'm advising this company called My Dunk Tank. It's just brand new, but I think it's pretty cool. They do charity fundraising for dares. So if you want to raise money for something, you say, okay, I'm going to raise money for X. I'll do any dare. Just you guys name it and start voting on it.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, that's a great
Tell me the name of it again.
My Dunk Tank.
Like throw the ball and
My
the guy
dunk
gets
tank.
dunked.
Got
yeah.
it. Okay. That is a perfect example of something insane and small and compelling and awesome.
I like it. It's like Kickstarter for dares.
Yeah, you know what's good about it? It's playful. This person will tap dance dressed as a squirrel in front of an invited audience, which I think at this point I'm donating to that.
Yeah.
Give everyone you see on the street a hug and tell them how much you love them for the whole day. Give a free dance lesson in Times Square just as Jose Limon.
Check out my dunk tank / Blake. That's the founder. He did the first dare, and
okay, here he is.
He did the one listed at the top there. He wore this cowboy suit around for an entire month.
What?
That's fantastic. With a cowboy hat, boots, aviators, and a fake beard every day for a full month.
Oh my God, that
pretty
is
incredible.
Wait a second, but is there photos of this somewhere? Where are the photos?
Yeah, there's actually, it's on the My Dunk Tank blog.
It says photographic evidence coming soon.
It's there. He did this whole like confessional thing on YouTube. He's like the My Dunk Tank Cowboy confessional. It was hilarious.
Oh my God, that is so genius. And how did you find this, My Dunk Tank?
They are. I've known the founder for a long time. They're a Philly startup, and I try to, I don't know if you do this too, but I try to get to know the entrepreneurs really well before I invest.
Of course.
And so,
yeah.
Or even this case I'm advising. They haven't raised any money yet, but I've known them for a while.
Well, here is the video we referred to. He raised $2,000 for charity, got a 30-day serving of Western and a gross fake beard. Began July 14th. Welcome to day one. Here he is.
This was the original video. They made this whole thing.
Oh my God, this is really bad. I'm gonna have to fast forward though. Let's see.
Yeah,
I like that it's the Hey Dude theme music too.
It's pretty silly.
That's pretty awesome, though. I give him credit. And everybody likes to raise funds for stuff. So this fundraising trend I like. What is Philly like for entrepreneurs?
It is not the greatest city, although it's been certainly on the upswing. There's a lot of passionate people here. It's trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
But we have a long way to go, clearly. That's the ones I'm advising are in Philly, but I have 2 investments in Boston, Wake Mason, San Francisco, and Note Hall is now in San Francisco too. We do have a Y Combinator type organization here called Dream It, though. It's probably one of the top 3 of those incubators, and so that's really helped.
What is it called? Dream It?
Yep, Dream It Ventures.
Yeah, did we have during the global meetup somebody on, Lon?
I believe we did.
Was the Shoe Fit company from there?
No, they were from Ohio. They were Columbus, Ohio.
Ah, I see. But Dream Adventures, yeah.
They've had a number of decent companies that got funded. Note Hall is the one that I'm in, Postling and SeatGeek, those are both.
Postling
was a TechCrunch
funded companies.
Yeah, SeatGeek was the TechCrunch company. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow,
I was
that's
their
great.
mentor actually during the program.
This Note Hall is incredible. What a great idea. So basically, I take notes of a class at Note Hall.
Yep.
And then I say, if you want these notes, it's $10.
Yep. Then they have this whole system where they help you reach out to your classmates and
put in their email addresses or genius idea. How is it doing?
Great. I mean, so I was initially super attracted to it because I gave a talk at Dream It, and then I did office hours around the place. And they just seemed very like my old business because they were virally spreading through these colleges.
So genius. Yeah.
And it's doing great. Yeah, I mean, they just keep expanding to colleges, sort of like Facebook did at the beginning.
Yeah.
Doing well. I'm happy with them.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And anytime you can add, well, not anytime, but it can be very powerful to add a financial incentive to these kind of systems. It's tricky, but if you can exchange value and currency, boy, do you have then it becomes like a business. It's not just exchanging bits and data. It's actually dollars are exchanging hands here. You spend much time going to Morimoto there in Philly?
No.
You've never been to Morimoto, the sushi bar in Philly?
No. I'm actually in Valley Forge. I have a 1-year-old. I hardly ever get into the city.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
Oh, I've got a 9-month-old girl. It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But
how
it
are
makes
you managing?
Me not get out much,
Yeah. How are you managing to do a startup and raise the kid?
It is quite difficult.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. You might see the bags under my eyes. I don't know.
Or the headaches from the lack of sleep.
Yes.
Kind of hard to be a programmer when you don't sleep, isn't it?
Really early on, it was like I could program at like 4 a.m. because I was up with him.
Yeah.
But now he sleeps through the night. Your girl probably does now too at 9 months.
Yeah, she gets up once in the middle of the night to have a bottle consistently.
That's what he did for a long time, at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But so now I work a lot of nights and weekends, but I have a babysitter here during the day. But
perfect. Wow, you've been a great guest. You're awesome.
I had one thing for you. So your pay-per pitch startup Crusade.
Yes.
I am pro that. I had somebody write me the other day, like, do you want to judge this contest? And I didn't realize it was pay-per-pitch, and then I bowed out. But I wondered if you knew about it. It's called Perfect Business.
I can just tell from the name of it that it's a scam. I mean, Perfect Business. It's like some marketer came up with that. It feels smarmy already.
It seems to be pretty high profile. PerfectBusiness.com. And it has all these sponsors of like, Fortune 500 companies. It's in Vegas, another giveaway.
Oh, look at this website.
Yeah,
oh my God, what a scam website.
Just any guy holding a basketball.
60 powerful speakers, including.
I think you need to add this to your Crusade list, basically.
And they got Tony Hsieh to come speak, who's my friend. See, this is the problem, is a lot of these guys, they get invited to speak at something, maybe they make a donation to their charity, and they don't know that they're supporting something that is a path to entrepreneurship.
He sent me the initial list, and I was like, wow, all these people are involved. Yeah, sure, I'll judge. And then I went to the site, and I realized what it was, and then I said, I'm not going to do it.
But look at this. It's like a landing page. You know, like those guys who do landing pages, like, get my system, $9.95. And
it looks like an ebook, like one of those where you scroll down.
Oh, you want to just kill yourself. Like, and here's, even with the picture of a bunch of $100 bills and
cash is king,
and like this woman with the bad haircut, like, oh my God, it's just, it never ends for me too. It's like every time I beat one of these down, and look at the keyword density here: popular business libraries, insurance, home-based business.
Oh yeah,
this is all ads, by the way. This is all to get these things for ads: business plan competition, business plan product or service, business plan marketing analysis. But I mean, this is like a spammer. I can't take it. Okay, so here's what we have to do. Everybody in the Jason Nation, please tweet, let's see, I'm going to put is there so we don't get slander problems. Is this perfectbusiness.com thing payola scam or not? So anyway, everybody go bust their balls. Why did I say that? Now they got to edit the tape. 57 minutes in.
You won't get an explicit tag.
I won't? Okay.
No. You could say bust their balls.
All right. Bust their chops.
You remember George Carlin? I won't say them, but you remember George Carlin's 7 dirty words?
Yes.
Those are the explicit tag ones. Don't say any of those.
Not planning on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just infuriating. Hey, stick around a second for the news, because I would like to get your take on it, Mr. Weinberg. Are you cool with sticking around for another 10 minutes?
Absolutely, thanks.
All right, so let's get our newsreader in here, Lon. Oh, wait a second. He's already here. He's already here. You don't need to give
cut that short.
Where's Tyler today?
Where is Tyler today?
Where is Tyler? He was here in the office.
I definitely saw him in the office.
I think it's the pressure's getting to him.
You think the pressure of this show?
I think. Remember last week I was like zero insights and what's going on.
Oh, it's the insight counts.
I think the insight. People are writing him about the number of insights he gives, and he doesn't give one. He feels like he didn't do the.
So that's great for me. People don't expect me to have any insights.
The expectations of you are very low.
Very low. So I get off easy.
All right, give us the first story.
So Yelp has been quietly experimenting with a Groupon, Daily D, living social kind of functionality. They're calling it Yelp Deals. It's offering time-sensitive daily deals, offering steep discounts at local businesses. They've now made the product somewhat more official and have announced plans to offer local deals in San Diego, San Francisco, New York, and then they will expand to a few other cities in the near future. An example would be 5 yoga classes for $30 that would normally cost $65 at San Diego's The Little Yoga Studio. This, of course, comes shortly after Yelp introduced Foursquare-inspired check-ins, allowing individuals to become Yelp royalty by checking in at local businesses. So, do you think this presents a genuine threat to a site like Groupon, considering Yelp already has 36 million users a month? I mean, is it going to be similar to where they're not really taking on Foursquare head-on, it doesn't seem like?
Sites can be, this is one of my theories, websites can be known typically for one thing if they're successful. Sometimes you can become known for 2 things, and very rarely can you become known for successfully for 3 things. And I'll give you an example. Google is?
Search.
Okay. And Yelp is?
Local business listings.
Reviews.
And reviews, yeah.
Right. And Engadget is?
Tech blog.
Right, exactly.
Journalism.
And so, and Facebook is?
So photos and games.
Right, exactly.
Right, yeah.
So when you start to
Zynga.
get to trying to be too many things and being comprehensive, generally it doesn't work, and the person who has the focus can do better. However, we're turning, the internet is changing because there are so many big companies at scale. And what happens when you're at scale is that the rule applies slightly less. So if Google wants to be in a business and they put their mind to it, they can. It's essentially that easy, but they don't always do that. So, for example, Google has not put their mind to social networking, so Buzz has been a modest success, and Orchid has not been like a modest success overseas. But now maybe they'll put their thing in. But look what they did with Android. They're like, this is important. Android's important. We're going to make it work. And they did. Search, obviously. So this is very hard. So I think with Yelp, this is actually something that will be very material to them, so they'll make this work. I think check-ins is not going to be material. It won't move the needle.
Right.
So these big companies, it's very hard at a big company to get people inside the company to focus on something that's tiny. And check-ins are a tiny business for Yelp. But Groupon and local deals is a huge business for Yelp, and it's exactly in their kill zone. Very viable competitor to Groupon. Will not slow Groupon down because the space is so big that it's going to do very well. And this is getting people to spend more. So I really think that this Groupon, Living Social, Guild Group thing is what's going to pull us out of pull the economy back. Is that it's going to get people back into consumption, but while being frugal. So it's like austerity.
Well, you get to feel good about your
it's consumptive austerity. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you're still consuming, but you're doing it in a very it's sort of like what JetBlue was. JetBlue was one of those great companies that came out of the last economic crisis. It was like, I'm gonna start flying again, but I'm gonna use JetBlue, so people can feel good about it. Whereas if you're flying like first class in American, you feel like an idiot. This is making people feel like, I spent money wisely. I mean, I was talking to somebody.
A good deal,
I was talking to somebody's wife who is worth a lot of money, and she was like, I'm on Groupon every day. I buy like 10 things a week between Groupon, Living Social, DailyD.com, and all this stuff. Andrew, what do you think? Gabriel, sorry. Gabriel.
Thought you might have another person on.
Yeah, no, it's a lack of sleep. I was just thinking about Andrew from Groupon.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense for them. I think it depends how they integrate it into the site, right? I think they could do it really well, and it would start making a ton of money right away if they integrated it very well.
It's going to work. Who is Dermertag in the chat room?
You remember him? He called up on the Hater Show. He was the French frog.
Oh, the frog is back.
Yeah.
Oh my God, get him on the line. I need to talk. Get somebody in the control room. Will you get Dermertag on the line, because he's riding me too hard today.
He's coming on very strong.
Are you
today.
watching this in the chat room?
I am.
He's riding me so hard.
I believe that is his Skype.
Get Dermatog on Skype.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to take
He's Irish, but he lives in France.
I remember.
Yes.
The frog is back, and I'm going to give him. I'm going to just let him get it out of his system.
He was on the
Get him on the line.
episode.
I know. We have to. Oh yes. Okay, I understand. Well, you'll Skype him on another computer, and he'll get the last word. We'll put him on for just 2 minutes.
We'll put him on it. We'll put him on it.
No, Dermatag, you're coming on, and you're going to explain yourself why you're so angry and cranky today. Let's do another story.
All right. This one was from actually like.
I would ask you your opinion on the Yelp thing, but let's keep moving.
Okay, that's fine. I wanted to bring this up. It's a little bit of an older story, but I thought it was really interesting. We hadn't gotten to talk about it before. Social payment service Bucks Fur launched in 2007. It was a Y Combinator company. It's sort of a Mint kind of concept. You monitor all your bank and credit card accounts in one place. The site itself is still live, but apparently it's become sort of a ghost town. No new tweeting, no new blog posts.
Which one is it?
Buxfer, B-U-X-F-E-R.
B-U-X-F-E-R.
And people on Get Satisfaction, users have started to go over there like, why can't I hear from the site anymore? Nobody seems to be there anymore. It's empty. So the site had raised $300,000 in angel funding back in 2007. According to TechCrunch, these site's two founders both now are working at Facebook, and they basically just abandoned this project. So as an investor, does it concern you to hear stories like this, that entrepreneurs may decide, you know what, I got a good job somewhere else.
Of course.
I'm just going to abandon this whole project. And what do you do as an investor in a situation like this?
Well, the investors could take over the asset and sell it, and then get maybe some percentage of their money back. We don't know the whole story here, so I don't want to comment.
No, right, of course, the specific one.
Yeah, exactly. But that being said, you know, if you're an angel investor, you are going to assume half of the things are going to fail. And when they do fail, the best thing to do is sell the asset for whatever you can get and try to get 10 or 20 cents back on the dollar. Because if you have 10 things that, let's say you have a portfolio of 20 companies, if 10 blow out and you can get 10 cents on the dollar, it's basically like getting 10% of your money back, which is better than zero. Yeah. And then if the other 5 do really well, I mean, it becomes icing on the cake if you are above water in your whole portfolio. All money has value. You might as well sell the domain name and the SEO value of it and whatever technology they have. Yeah. But what you will see is, I think, more than ghost towns is life support. Because the cost of keeping a site up and running and keeping a company incorporated and keeping an EC2 instance going and stuff is zero now, a lot of these small angel investing companies the person will go on to work at Google, Facebook, Twitter, do it on the weekends, and it'll go sideways forever. And then it's really up to the angel investors to say, listen, I need my money back. Either buy me out, let's find somebody to buy me out, or let's put the site up for sale, which is a reasonable thing to do. If that happened to me, you know, I would do that. And actually, VCs get that right, basically, after a certain amount of time, that they can sort of call the investment and say, we got to do something here. Fred Wilson talked about this on his blog, avc.com, great blog, and a good friend of mine, up until I wrote the ComScore rant I wrote. And then he was like, I don't know if I can be friends with you anymore, which is actually really, it's hard to be a writer sometimes. You lose friends over it when you write what you believe. Cost of doing business, I suppose. But he wrote about, he's got 4 portfolio companies from Flatiron Partners, which I was a consultant to, actually, with one of my first jobs in in 96. I was a consultant to Flatiron Partners, one of my first jobs, reading business plans for GeoCities. And he's got 4 companies left from there. And I'm like, well, why don't you just sell them, or why don't you have them buy you out? And it's like, well, it doesn't sound that easy. And you know, he's basically still working on that portfolio. But those 4 companies are 100% gravy for him. If they get any return on it, it's 100% profit because he's already paid back the fund. Gabriel, what do you think?
I have no problem with people selling out to Facebook. I don't know in this case. I know the 2 founders posted on Hacker News what happened. They said they were like, they ran through the 300,000 and they ran out. The site wasn't working and they weren't able to raise more money. But I mean, I try to get a liquidation preference. I know you talked about that on your last show, or on an earlier show. So I mean, that's where I would go with this as an investor.
Yeah, try to get your money back plus 1 times or whatever you could just by doing a liquidation. Let's go next story.
All right, so I feel like we do Netflix stories all the time, but they just keep being big news stories, so I don't know what to do.
No, Netflix is a juggernaut.
So the popular Netflix iPad app, I have it on here, I love it, is now available for the iPhone and the iPod Touch.
Genius.
All Netflix members can download and stream movies to the app for free. It works on both 3G and Wi-Fi connections.
It works on 3G?
3G. It does. It's a little choppy on 3G. I tested it out.
Do they buffer down the quality?
Yes. Just like when you get it on your Xbox, and sometimes it'll say, you know, this is 2 bars, this one's 4 bars. It depends on your internet connection. Much like the old school Xbox version, the iPhone version doesn't let you add to or manipulate your queue. You just access it. So you have to add the movies on your desktop and then watch them on your phone. And it also doesn't offer functionality for your DVD Blu-ray queue, so you can't move your stuff around in your normal queue.
Right.
So how big a game changer is this for Netflix? Do you think a lot of people are going to start watching movies and TV shows on their phones?
Absolutely. I always tell the story about Steve Jobs telling me nobody wanted to watch video on the iPod, and then of course he comes out with it.
Sure.
And the silly thing about the, not being able to manage your queue and only play what's in your instant queue is you could just go over to your browser, log into Netflix, and do it in your browser window, and then come back. So it's the stupidest technicality ever.
Yeah.
But I know I watch. Last night I was watching Zach Galifianakis. From the Purple Onion.
Wow, that's live from the Purple Onion.
Live from the Purple Onion. I watched the first 15 minutes of it. It's hysterical because I was just like, oh, let me type in Zach Galifianakis and see what he's been in. And it was like, oh, this is live. Oh, it's comedy. Boom. And in bed, my wife and I watched the first 15, 20 minutes. It was hysterical.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And I would totally do that on the iPhone when I'm on a bus or other places where you have 10 minutes to spare. Fill in the blanks. So, yeah, it's huge. And Netflix is awesome. The only problem is they don't have everything. But they always have something.
They're working on it. With this Epic deal, too, they're going to hold studios are opening up their vaults.
We'll see what happens when... why has Apple not bought them? Apple has $40 billion in cash or $20 billion in cash. Why would Apple not just buy them?
Netflix?
Yeah.
Wow.
The no-brainer.
I mean, the merging
I'm
of those two
predicting that right
companies
now.
would
That
be
is just an
wild.
absolute no-brainer. Absolutely, they should do that. Gabriel, you a Netflix subscriber, I assume?
Yeah, I mean, here's why that's a no-brainer. Because right now, I cannot justify buying movies on, or even renting movies on iTunes, because I can just watch them on Netflix, except for kid shows.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the kid show is the only thing you'll buy because they'll watch it 100 times, and they'll be more excited at the 100th viewing than they are at the first because they've learned every word in the thing.
There are TV shows I want to catch up with that I buy on iTunes. I was Breaking Bad. I'm catching up with that on iTunes right now.
Because you don't
It's
want to
not
get
streaming on Netflix.
Well, that's why they're doing it.
Right.
It's just so annoying, and that's why they're going to drive people to things like BitTorrent or Russian sites or something like that. Because, I mean, if I'm paying for Netflix, why can't I get Breaking Bad? It's like they take the best show. I tried to do this too. I wanted to watch Breaking Bad, and I'm not watching it.
Well, I think those are because that's some of these cable channels and premium
It's because
channels
I think it's because it's a hit show. If it wasn't a hit show, they'd be more than willing to stream it.
Well, there's some popular shows that are on Netflix. Not all.
It just sucks. I mean, just like give them what. I mean, how much money do we have to pay?
Yeah, well, this dovetails perfectly. Let's move on to my next story because this dovetails perfectly into it. So let's talk about Hulu Plus. A new analysis of all the Hulu Plus available content reveals this was not a surprise to me as a subscriber. 88% of it is already available for free on Hulu.com. You're paying for 12% extra content. This includes 98% of the clips that you get on Hulu Plus.
So wait. Okay, keep going.
Out of 28,000 TV episodes, only about 3,300 are exclusive to Hulu Plus. These includes episodes of X-Files, Law & Order SVU, SNL, and Family Guy. So it's worth noting also, many of these same shows are available on Netflix streaming, only on Hulu Plus you watch the ads. So
Wait, so Hulu Plus you pay and you watch ads?
Yes, there's ads on Hulu Plus. And the library it oddly lacks depth. So I realize it's only a little over a month old. Obviously, Hulu's going to work very hard to fill out the library. But, are people being too hard on it, or do you really think it just seems oddly like they're not even in this game at this point?
What's happening is the people who own the rights are purposely making this confusing so they can maximize revenue.
Right.
It's obscurification, revenue maximization.
Yes.
I feel like I'm Jesse Jackson. I feel like Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
Obscurification for the ramification of revenue generation.
Yeah, well, it just seems, there's shows like Mad Men and Breaking Bad are two examples, Dexter and all those HBO
they're taking
shows.
the hit shows with loyal followings that people want to watch.
You have to pay for those. There's no other way.
Yes.
You can't get it on Netflix.
No, there is.
You can't
It's
get
called
it on Hulu.
BitTorrent. And
well, you can get them for free. You can pirate them.
But that's what they're doing. They just have to make these. So, okay, if you're going to make Hulu, is it $10 a month?
It's $10 a month.
So make it 12 and just give people everything. It's like.
Well, but it seems like you went from free, and I was enjoying it for free, and then I'm paying $10 now.
And they're getting a huge effective CPM. It's supposed to be like $30 or $40 CPMs.
Yeah, but it just seems like would $2 or $3 extra do it, or is it just they're trying to sell content they don't have?
It's the DVD business.
Right.
They're scared to death of killing the DVD business. People who are loyal to Family Guy will keep buying DVDs because they want to watch that stuff over and over again. Same thing with Law & Order, same thing with Breaking Bad, same thing with Lost. And the shows that have the DVD sales are the ones that they're scared of moving to this because there's still a lot of money being made by DVDs. Gabriel, any thoughts?
App really annoyed me when I downloaded it and I couldn't watch regular Hulu on my iPad. I didn't know what it was, at first. I didn't read the stories. The other thing that really annoys me about Hulu in general is their ads. They just play the same ad over and over again.
Oh, yes.
It's so irritating.
Can they get a better ad sales force there? For the love of God.
Four ads, and they're annoying, and
I don't mind the ad. Listen, and what's great about I'll tell you what's great for the advertising.
Pay $10.
Well, that's just dumb. If either you pay, or have 3 pay levels. It's $20 a month with no ads, $10 a month with ads, or it's 3 ads. But you can't get both.
Yeah.
I think Hulu is almost like the network started this to have something so that they don't get sued by the government or whatever. So it's like we're doing something digital. Mm-hmm. It's enough to get people sort of somewhat vested in it being available, but they don't want to screw up these other businesses. So it's almost like what is it like? Somebody help me with an analogy here. It's almost like...
You're really someone insightful right now.
I could use an insightful person
If only
here.
there was a guy
who could summarize this with a metaphor or some
insights.
powerful insight. But it's almost like...
It's like a nun in a jam factory. No, I don't have anything to back
that doesn't
up.
work.
It sounded like it
moving
would have been
on.
a
Next
Tyler
story.
insight. Facebook has announced that it will start working with Y Combinator companies to create transformative social experiences, and this will apparently involve giving them preferential treatment and access to company resources. To quote a Facebook post, we'll provide product, technical, and design resources to support new Y Combinator companies interested in working with us to build deeply social products.
And then we will steal your business.
These companies will have priority access to our technologies and programs such as Facebook credits, instant personalization, and upcoming beta features. So, how big an advantage will this be for Y Combinator companies? Is this something they should all
I would also like
on?
to invite lobsters from the Pacific Ocean to go to the lobster house if they need to take a warm bath. Any startup that participates in this is so stupid. They should have they don't deserve to be an entrepreneur. Facebook is doing this for one reason and one reason only: to steal your ideas and to get you to sell out early and go work for them. Anybody who's in Y Combinator who's listening to this, okay, somebody got to cut this clip. This is a message to Y Combinator companies and hopefuls. If you tell Facebook about your startup before you reach critical mass and you get involved with Facebook in any way, you are an idiot. They will steal your company's ideas and try to get you to take a small price for your company and vision and take a job at Facebook, which, by the way, is going to be a job that sucks. Don't do it. It's a scam. It's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap. Insert Star Wars clip here. It's a trap. It's a trap. End of message.
A little Admiral Akbar.
A little Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah.
It is a trap. Could that possibly be any more obvious that this is an absolute trap? Oh, new startups. We will be there early to. Yeah. Oh, what is your great idea? Oh, I'm sorry. Was it check-ins? Great. We'll add that to Facebook. Not by Foursquare.
Yeah, they do have a history.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This
what is it? Virtual currencies? Oh, well, let's come up with our own Facebook virtual currency. Oh, what is it? Oh, Quora. It's questions and answers. Oh, we're going to add that feature. I mean, how many businesses and business ideas does Facebook need to steal? How many lawsuits need to pile up before people realize it's an untrustworthy company run by untrustworthy people? Wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up. How could Y Combinator? I mean, that is the biggest load of nonsense that I've ever heard.
And interestingly, I found this post on TechCrunch, and I expected that to be every comment all over the blog post.
Let me explain to you. Zuckerberg responds to Mike. I know all the inside information, and now that Mike Arrington and I are going to war, the gloves are off. We're competitors now. Mike Arrington is absolutely under Zuckerberg's thumb. They sponsor every event. They obviously sponsor TechCrunch 50 every year. I wasn't able to interview Zuckerberg, right? Mike got to interview him the years he was there. Zuckerberg will come to any event that Mike Arrington does and support it. And Mike Arrington and TechCrunch never wrote the story about Zuckerberg hacking into the journalists' emails. Like, they basically treat Zuckerberg with kid gloves. They beat the hell out of after we broke up. But this is TechCrunch, and this is why TechCrunch needs to go away, because TechCrunch is unfair in how they cover things. You know, it's like it's personal vendettas or personal favors or laptops. And the reason why Daniel, the reason why Daniel took the laptop is because he watches Mike Arrington give favors all the time with TechCrunch coverage. He gave favors to me when I was on the inside, and he took favors away from me and beat me up when I was on the outside. And it's very clear to me that TechCrunch is basically inside of Facebook's pocket. There's a lot of people who are investors in Facebook. I don't talk about the issue that much anymore, but it's ridiculous. I mean, you're not going to get good coverage from Facebook, from TechCrunch. TechCrunch is a favor bank at this point. You heard it here first.
I'll stop going to them.
Next story.
Swiss startup Kuaba.
Oh, wait, I didn't ask Gabriel. Gabriel, what's your thoughts on that? How much do you hate Facebook?
I mean, my major thought is that part of the issue here is that if you ask some of these entrepreneurs, even when I'm doing angel investing, would you take $1 million exit right now? I think it is attractive to a lot of them, and that's part of the problem with doing the angel investing. And so they look at these string of Facebook acquisitions, and they sometimes look at them in a positive light.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're like, oh, let's take out these little things for one. When they bought that $10 million, what's the little $10 million acquisition of the
Hot Potato the other day?
Hot Potato.
Hot Potato.
The only reason they bought, that's a check-in service, right?
So yeah, something like that.
Sort of a check-in type service. The only reason they bought that was so that they can say, oh, well, we bought a company. We didn't steal Foursquare and go all this business. They're just trying to get cover for their bad behavior. They're just going to steal every part. Facebook wins all. And you know what? We're all anybody who supports them is an idiot because, oh, we're going to send all our traffic to them. We're going to put the like buttons on everything and get them everybody's IP address. We're going to get them everybody's preferences. And then you're all going to basically have whitewashed Zuckerberg's fence. He controls everything. And then he'll either buy your company or he'll kill you. And that's going to be, I mean, he's like, Quora won't sell, Vark won't sell, Foursquare won't sell. I will incorporate that feature into Facebook, and you die. You're empowering him by putting those like buttons. You should not support Facebook if you're a startup company. They are against startups. And this is, them supporting Y Combinator is crazy. The fact that Y Combinator is doing this makes me think much less of Y Combinator. Y Combinator should not let them near those startups, because they will steal their ideas and steal their people and take them out, as Gabriel's saying, for some small amount of money. It's bad for the angel investors. I mean, I'm going to invest at $1 million valuation. You're going to sell at $1 million valuation, and I could have put my money in a bond and made more money, have better upside. Next story.
Swiss startup Kuaba offers.
Why are you going to get me all excited like this? You know that you're poking the tiger.
That's my job.
I'm having a very relaxing day. Okay, last story.
So it's a Swiss startup. They offer mobile visual search and augmented reality technology via mobile phone apps. So the idea is you take your phone, you take a snapshot of a print ad or a DVD or a movie poster, and you get specs, price comparisons, coupons, all kinds of information to your phone. They received 3 million Swiss francs, which is about $3 million this week in venture funding from undisclosed Swiss investors. They plan to use it to enter new markets, hire more developers, pursue partnerships with other visual search and augmented reality companies. So to me, I feel like we report on companies in this space on the show all the time, and yet I can't
nobody uses them.
Name one for you. It never.
What was the name of this one?
Kuaba, K-O-O-A-B-A. I never.
Well, first of all,
I never feel like it really hits critical mass where people start using it. So would you invest in a company like this? It seems like a compelling idea.
No. I wouldn't. The I get motion sickness, augmented reality stuff. Like I pull up the augmented reality thing on Yelp once in a while, and I'm like, it's cool, like when you show it to somebody who's never seen it before, and then you're just like, oh, I'm going to try to find a restaurant, like, doing this, It's like, seriously, it's ridiculous. I mean,
there's a thing called a map that's pretty easy
I mean, the
to
application of this is just, it doesn't work really that well, and, like I'm walking down the street and I'm trying to navigate. It's like, they gave you the number of it's 121 Main Street. That's 120 Main Street. It's across the street. There's a numbering system. There's a grid system. Like, embrace it. You don't need the augmented reality. Maybe for video games or something like that. Visual search, there's something to that, but text is so efficient. I mean, Light got bought, right? So, I mean, that is pretty cool. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like something I would do. What do you think?
No, ahead of its time.
Well said.
Well, there you go. We do have a winner in the .co.
The winner is?
At Z Chaitman. Zach Chaitman is his name. He bought socialcampus.co. I thought that was an interesting one because that's definitely a .com you could not get.
No.
So a good use of the .co to go get a really compelling domain that is easy to remember. He gets a Hyundai.
I'm going to autograph it.
Oh, autographed Hyundai. So congratulations,
Zach.
Wait,
am I allowed to write on a dollar bill?
I'm not sure. There you go.
I don't think so, but you can do it.
Thanks.
Too late now. Too late now.
Don't tell Obama.
Congratulations to Zach. Nobody tell the Department of the Treasury.
Let's see if I autograph it and he actually.
Not legal. They're
not
all saying
legal,
technically no.
I didn't do it.
Nobody. I didn't see nothing.
Nothing
you didn't
happened.
see nothing in the chat room.
You never saw nothing in that chat room. All right, Gabriel, it's great having you on. I love your entrepreneurial style and zeal, and I think that you're onto something with DuckDuckGo. I'm going to be watching and monitoring it as I have been, and I appreciate you coming on the program. It's refreshing to hear somebody doing something significant with good reasons to do it, and you'll definitely come to the Open Angel Forum in New York if you're available. We'd love to have you.
I have one in Philly.
If you'll run it, we'll do it in Philly. I can't get on the plane. You have more than 10 angel investors there?
Yeah.
All right, so then you're running it. That's fine. It's yours. Right. Be careful what you wish for. You're gonna have to run it. You have no idea how much work this is.
Man.
Everybody go check out DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo.com. I'm a big fan. I think it's great. I've used it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Maybe I'll try for like a week just using that. Thank you to .co. No, wait, they're not the sponsors this time.
No,
thank you anyway.
we were just announcing the winner because it's a .co sponsored conference.
Thank you to the other winners at DNA Mail and at Trotta.
Trotta. They're our sponsors today.
Trotta and at DNA Mail. You guys have been great to the show. Coming up right after this at 4 p.m. is This Week in Social Media.
No, yes, This Week in Social Media 4.
And then at 6?
This Week in Mobile. And I should say that This Week in Mobile guest is the creator of the Choose Your Own Adventure series of books. Like the original books.
Ones that I bought.
He's doing an Android app now.
At the hobby shop in 1985.
Yeah, Edward Packard is his name.
Wow.
He, one of the minds behind the original Choose Your Own Adventure concept.
He had a patent on that, actually, I believe.
Yes, I think so.
And I remember I would buy those. I was fascinated with those books when I was a kid.
And we were talking outside before the show.
There's a door. Do you go down it? Yes or no?
The G.I. Joe ones.
Do you drink it? Yeah.
They had G.I. Joe themed ones that we used to
That was a little bit later, but yeah. Thank you to TriCaster. All things are possible through TriCaster, including World Peace. Thank you to the staff. Another flawless episode. Thank you to Tyler for bowing on us.
Aww.
We will see him on Tuesday. He will be here. Tyler's here. What happened?
What?
He's
last
still
minute
alive.
Insight?
All right.
Last second insight?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
All right. Gabriel, I'll say goodbye to you, and then we're going to put Doomertang up for one quick second.
Oh, yeah. Let's have him
Gabriel, I'll see you soon.
Thank you
by
very
when
much.
you're in LA anytime. Can't do it for technical reasons. Okay, Dermotag,
well.
we will see you next time. We'll have you on the Jader. He got off easy. Maybe we should just do every week like a Jader moment.
We close the show
A
with
Jader moment of Zen.
Okay.
Pretty genius, right?
That's a guy. I like
Jader
it.
moment of Zen. It just has to be like why they hate Jader. Every episode, have them do like a.
They get 30 seconds
just to wow.
Why you hate Jason.
Just
like
but a new one each week.
So if you want to participate in that, I'm Lon at This Weekend, at Lon's on Twitter if you want to find me there. Let me know I want to be a part of the Jader moment.
Just put Jader in the subject line.
Yeah, just let us know you're a Jader, you want to call in, and I will
just do a rant. Like it's no more than 30 seconds.
We'll put a timer up. You get 30 seconds. It's whatever you want. Obviously, don't swear, please. We'll have to edit the
You
episode.
swear, you put a beep in it.
If you put your own beep in.
If you put your own beep in, we don't have to do the work. But we will play it at the end. It could be anything. You could hate my pink shirt. You could hate the beard I wore on Monday. You could hate both. You could hate Mahalo. You could hate This Weekend.
They're all there. Everybody in the chat was excited. This will be a great segment.
This is going to be a great
segment. This is going to be a good segment.
So I just call it a Jader moment or a Jader, what do we call it? Jader something.
Jader's Corner? Something
Jader
like
time?
that? Yeah, Jader time. I like it. I'll think about it. We'll come up with something by Tuesday.
See you next time.
Spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.